On a quiet mountainside overlooking the hills of Galilee, Jesus withdrew from the crowds to pray. All night he communed with the Father, listening, waiting, discerning. The world around him was asleep, but heaven was awake. This was no ordinary night. It was the beginning of something eternal. By morning he would choose the 12 men who would carry his message to the ends of the earth. They were not scholars, priests, or kings. They were fishermen, tax collectors, skeptics, and dreamers. Ordinary men chosen for an extraordinary purpose. Why them? Why not the powerful, the educated, or the influential? Because Jesus was not building an empire, he was building a kingdom. And this kingdom was not of gold or stone, it was made of hearts, faith, and obedience. When dawn broke, Jesus descended from the mountain, the sunlight painting the landscape in gold. A crowd was already waiting, drawn by whispers of his healing and the power in his words. But before he addressed the multitude, he called 12 names. Simon, whom he named Peter. Peter, the fisherman with the fiery temper and the heart that always leaped before thinking. The rock that would one day stumble yet stand again to lead. Andrew, his brother. The quiet one who brought others to Jesus, never in the spotlight, but always near the Savior. James and John, sons of Zebedee. The sons of thunder, full of zeal and passion. Their ambition would one day be refined into love and endurance. Philip and Bartholomew. Philip, the questioner, always seeking understanding. Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, pure in heart, who once asked, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" Matthew, the tax collector, once despised by his own people, now redeemed to write one of the most enduring accounts of Jesus' life. Thomas, the doubter whose honesty would later strengthen faith for generations. James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. Ordinary names to us, but each carried a divine calling. Even Judas, who would betray him, was part of the plan, reminding us that God's sovereignty weaves even human failure into his purpose. Jesus appointed them not just to follow, but to be sent, to preach, to heal, to drive out evil spirits, and to bear his message to the world. But before sending them, he called them to be with him. That phrase, to be with him, is the foundation of discipleship. Before mission comes communion, before action comes relationship. Imagine the scene, 12 men standing before the Son of God, the wind stirring the grass, the crowd watching from below. They had no titles, no training, no wealth. Yet Jesus looked at them and saw what no one else could, the future of his church. This moment wasn't just about leadership, it was about transformation. Jesus didn't choose perfect men, he chose teachable hearts. He didn't choose those with influence. He chose those who would surrender everything to follow him. Their journey would not be easy. They would face storms, rejection, persecution, and doubt. Yet in their weakness, they would discover the power of the one who called them. When Jesus chose them, he wasn't looking for ability, but availability. That's still how he calls today. Think about it. Peter would deny him 3 times, Thomas would doubt his resurrection, and Judas would betray him. Yet through all of it, Jesus' choice remained sovereign. He knew their failures, yet he still called them by name. Because in his kingdom, grace is not given after perfection, it's the very path to it. When he called them, he was forming a living foundation for the gospel. Through them, his words would echo through centuries, reaching every corner of the earth. Imagine the emotions of that moment. Peter, wide-eyed and humbled. Matthew, once hated, now chosen. James and John, thunder in their hearts turning to reverence. Thomas, quiet but thoughtful. Each one realizing that God himself had spoken their name. Jesus didn't explain everything that day. He simply said, "Follow me." And they did. Not because they understood everything, but because they trusted the one who did. Each disciple's story shows a different side of God's grace. Peter reminds us that failure isn't final. John shows that love is stronger than fear. Matthew proves that no past is too dark for redemption. Thomas teaches that doubt can lead to deeper faith. And Judas, tragic as his story is, reminds us that choice matters, that proximity to Jesus doesn't equal surrender to him. What's striking about this moment is how Jesus transforms the ordinary. Fishermen became fishers of men. A tax collector became a storyteller of grace. Zealots became peacemakers. Doubters became believers. They were men who once cast nets into the sea. Now they would cast truth into the world. The appointment of the 12 wasn't just a historical event, it was a pattern for us today. Jesus still calls ordinary people to extraordinary purpose. He doesn't need perfection. He needs hearts willing to be transformed. Perhaps the most powerful part of this story is that Jesus began it all with prayer. Before calling anyone, he spent the night in communion with the Father. It's a reminder that every divine calling begins not with ambition, but with alignment. He didn't rush the decision. He didn't consult public opinion. He listened to the voice of heaven. And in that communion, the names of 12 men rose like stars in the night, men through whom light would touch the world. It's easy to think the disciples were special, but what made them extraordinary wasn't who they were, it was who they followed. Their strength was not in themselves, but in the presence that walked beside them. After calling them, Jesus led them down the mountain into a world waiting to be changed. The mission had begun. They would walk dusty roads, witness miracles, and see the face of God in human form. They would argue, fail, learn, and grow, but through it all, they would never be the same. Centuries later, we still read their names with awe. 12 ordinary men through whom the kingdom of heaven broke into history. 12 imperfect lives transformed by perfect love. And here's the question that lingers. What if he's still calling today? What if he's calling you? Not because of what you've done, but because of what he can do through you. The same Jesus who stood on that mountain still speaks your name. He still says, "Follow me." He still transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The appointment of the 12 is more than a story, it's a pattern of grace. God takes what the world overlooks and turns it into what heaven celebrates. If you've ever felt unworthy, remember Peter. If you've ever doubted, remember Thomas. If you've ever felt unseen, remember Nathanael. The call of Jesus is not based on your past, but on his purpose. He still climbs mountains of prayer to call hearts that will follow him down into the valleys of need. The world is still waiting for disciples who will walk where he walks, love as he loves, and speak as he speaks. That's the meaning of this moment in Mark 3:13-19. Not just history, but calling. A calling that echoes through time, whispering, "Come, follow me." And as he once sent the 12 to preach, to heal, and to cast out darkness, he now sends us to do the same, not by power, but by presence. Thank you for watching this message. If this story of faith and calling touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and follow Holy Path Insights for more reflections on the words and works of Jesus that continue to transform lives today.